did the track in Logic. Just waiting for a couple of people to join in. Hey Paul, welcome, how are you? I had to come up with a theme song because if you go onto YouTube and you use somebody else's music, they slash you and they reject you and they not fine you, but if you have enough copyright strikes, they'll throw you off and block your channel. So I had to do that. Let's see, just waiting for a couple more people. Cool, cool, cool. There's a slight delay. Waiting for a couple more people that said they were going to join in. Everybody doing good? What's the subject? Well, it's going to be pretty open right now. I'm working on a mix, and I was going to show that and see if anybody had any questions and all that kind of stuff. How to put some tracks together, questions about the music business, all that kind of stuff. So we're hanging in there for a minute or two. In 1 second, let me get on Facebook and let people know I'm live. I gotta send people the links. Haha. Everybody wants a link. All right, we'll get some people in here. Anyway, hey, how you doing? Welcome. We're just waiting for a couple more people. Hey, let me throw that track on that Paul likes. I'll throw it on in the background a little bit, so we have a little music while we're waiting. Hey Carlos, how are you? Listen, what I tell everybody is if you're not wearing headphones, it really pays to put in your earbuds or your headphones because you really want to hear what's going on. Even if they're cheap and crappy, it's better than, you know, listening off of a little speaker. Also, if you have a TV, there's a way to, what do they call that? Something cast, screencast. You can screencast your TV if you're holding your phone or an iPad or something like that. Hey William, how are you? Let me text a couple of people. They're asking me, when am I going on? When am I going on? So, I'm just trying to find the people that are live. By the way, you guys, thanks for supporting this and, you know, coming in here live and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to be rude here. People are just asking me. Here we go. Sorry, folks. There we go. All right. People are coming into the room. We got chat. Everybody's welcome to chat. There's no stupid questions, no wrong things, no right things. I'm going to show you a mix that I'm doing today. And anybody have questions about the music business, about mixing? Oh, I want to let you guys know tomorrow I have an interview with David Bowie's road manager when he did Ziggy Stardust. So a lot of this channel that we're going to do, I want to have heat stroke playing, thanks. There's a little bit of a delay, so if you're typing and I'm responding late, there's a delay. This is not only about recording, but I want to try to make it about the music business, how to put out music, how to do live shows and stuff like that. So tomorrow I'm interviewing David Bowie's road manager. He went on the road Ziggy Stardust when David Bowie had all those costumes, and I want to ask him about all that. And hey, Classical Banksy, how are you? I was just telling everybody that tomorrow I'm interviewing David Bowie's road manager, so that's going to be pretty friggin' cool. Trying to get maybe what's his name? I got a list of people. All right, so start off with some basics. We got any questions out there? Anybody know anything The questions you've always wanted to ask, but finally have a chance. Thanks, Paul. Any questions that you need to know? Your mix is going horrible. What did you do wrong? Hi from Netherlands, how are you? Had some great times in Netherlands. Had some good sex in the Netherlands too. That's for another book. All right, so a friend of mine, his name is CORY TUT, like King Tut. He had a track, and he asked me if I could help him with the track, you know. Actually, he sent me his album. He didn't ask for help. He sent me his album, and I heard one of the tracks, and I thought, you know, this is pretty funky and cool. And I've known CORY for a while, and I said, hey, CORY, why don't you send me your files, and I'll go ahead and I'll make a new track out of it. So let me show you that. I'm going to play you the original track that he sent me. Give me 1 second. It's called Danger Zone. This is all unreleased stuff. Yeah, Radio Stagnehag was great, you know. Richard de Boer is talking from the Netherlands. It's a really great radio station. They have a lot of classics. You can get it online. Do I still use Ableton Live? No, William, I don't. I use Logic, and we're going to go over to that in a minute. How to add headroom to a mix. Actually, you know what? We could do that with this mix that's going to come up. So let me play the original, and then we'll go ahead and we'll play his track over here. Let me just get this from the beginning. Hey, Deerfield Beach. Not far. I'm right above Palm Beach. So, hey, cool. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so here's his track. You guys should be listening on headphones. Great. So this is his track. He mixed and recorded and finished this himself. And thank you guys for hanging in there and watching and being around. Thank you. He did all the vocals, he did all the music. Yeah, cool bass line. It's an electro-y kind of track for him. He did all the vocals, did all the production.
This is an emergency. I'm in the danger zone. Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
Pretty cool track, right?
Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body, gotta get
obviously a pretty cool track, right? I got a question. Is any of this distorting? Because the last time I had my mic levels too hot and it was blowing out. If it's distorting, please somebody let me know, and I'll bring the levels down. Okay, so let's switch over to this. So he sent me all the pieces in all good, great, good. Last time I did one, my mic was so loud, I was afraid you guys couldn't hear me, and quite opposite, I wound up peaking all over the place. Awesome. So this is Logic over here. I'm down on the corner on the right-hand side, just in case. This is Logic, which is a Macintosh program. A lot of programs, Ableton Live on the Mac, have similar features, just the screens are different. So anything that I can do, that I do here, is probably you could put into your program if you're using Ableton Live, if you're using Fruity Loops or FL Studio or Steinberg or any program, even GarageBand. And by the way, GarageBand is a baby version of Logic. So if you do GarageBand, one of these days you upgrade to Logic, you can, it's not that hard to relearn. Most of the stuff is basic. For this particular track, he sent me a lot of music, and I but I took out most of his tracks and I rebuilt a new track. So let's take a listen to what I've done. Now, I didn't do this electro hip hop, kind of track. I decided instead to do, I want to turn this into like a Daz band, funky track, and I'll go back and I'll do an electro mix, a synth mix. So let's take a listen to my mix. So this is completely different, and it's intended to be different. So when we put out a single, there'll be his mix, there'll be this mix, and another mix, and maybe, I don't know, an acapella or something, trying to fill up that. In the old days, we used to fill up the vinyl or fill up the CDs. Now, for your, if you're going to spend $4.99 or whatever, trying to give you value for your money. All right, so here we go. This is my version. I'm going for more of a retro sound. Yes, I still have my vocoder. Yes, I do. We can talk about that. Ah, Terry notices the drum sample, huh? Hey, Steve Bronski from Bronski Beat. Hello, everybody.
This is an emergency.
Now remember, this is not mixed. Steve Bronski is in the house.
Mirrors on the ceiling, puddles on the floor, sweating down your body, fire in the home. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Can you feel it, baby? It's inevitable. Yeah, it's about to go down. We're going down.
I'm not going to be responsible between Jimmy Somerville and Steve Bronski chat.
Counting all the money. I don't wanna be alone. Feeling kinda funny. And I'm ready to explode.
All right, you guys get the idea here. you guys get the idea here. This is unmixed, and I still have to put a couple of tracks down. So we can, everybody say hi to Steve Bronski from Bronski Beat, Small Town Boy, and all those stuff. Used to party at Collins, but I passed my silly date, so I don't get invited anymore. Yeah. We have the legendary Steve Bronski with us, who, by the way, if you missed it and you go back to this channel, he was the first interview that we had, and it was a really great interview talking about, you know, stuff that he does and how he writes music. All right, so let's go and break this down a little bit. So first thing that was noticed was the Michael Jackson Billie Jean kick and snare. So what did I do? I stole or lifted Billie Jean? Yeah, probably did. Definitely did. But I went in and I used a plug-in. Let's see, I don't have it on. This is the final. Let's see. Let me see if I can find the original Billie Jean thing here. So the Billie Jean, the kick and the snare had a lot of reverb in it, right? It was like a whole lot of reverb, and I wanted to clamp down on the reverb, and I really just wanted the kick and the snare. So I used a plug-in. Where are we? I got so many plugins here, guys. I'll find it. I promise you I'll find it. Sound Radix. Here we go. So I used a program called Drum Leveler. And what this program does is it allows you to bring things in and out of tracks and change. It's almost like mixing after the mix, but not quite. I'm going to throw this on. I don't know if I can gain anything back, but if you listen to your headphones, I just took the hi-hat out. I'm going to put the hi-hat back in. Well, that's extreme. I'm going to take, so it's sort of like a gate, and you can go in this here and change compression. That's really distorted. You can go in and bring things in and out. So with the, and I also have a noise gate on this track. I'll take it off for a second. It's a little bit of reverb if you're listening with your, oh, we're buffering. There's a reverb in there, and I didn't want that reverb to affect the reverb that I'm using. I put on this noise gate. It's very subtle. I'm going to make the noise gate extreme. That's completely closed. So I'm basically removing the hi-hat out of this. Let's see, what else do we have in here? A good old bass line. I wrote a new bass line. And one of my favorite synthesizers that I used to do hip hop, bebop, and all these songs is a Prophet Pro 1 by Sequential Circuits. They don't make it anymore, but this company UHE makes a Pro 1. They call it a Repro, and this is a 5-voice version. That was a monophonic synthesizer, 5-voice called Repro, and down here on the bottom it's got a bunch of effects plugged in. But at the top, let's Is there audio now? You guys can hear me. We had a crash. I'm sorry. Had to reboot it. And it's weird that it crashed because it never usually does. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. And I got the chat window. Good, good, good. Let's get the chat window over so I could follow you guys. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. We have plenty of RAM. We're gonna play man to man. Steve Bronski, you were asking what program I was using. Is there audio now? You guys can hear me. We had a crash. I'm sorry. Had to reboot it. And it's weird that it crashed because it never usually does. My audio was down, so refreshing may help it. Okay, just want to make sure that we're here. Steve Bronski, you asked me what program I was using, and I was wondering whether you were asking me whether I was using a music program. Well, let me just answer it. The music program I'm using is Logic Audio on a Mac. The producing program that I'm using, the digital video studio, is called OBS, Open Broadcast System. It's a freebie, and it's pretty powerful. All right. Let's see if we can get back to what we're doing here. Okay, so we were running this track, and now we have no audio. Oh, right, because we're not on the bass line. Let's get over to the bass line. I wrote the bass line in here. And my favorite synthesizer that I used when I was a kid was the Pro One, the Prophet One, made by Sequential Circuits. And I used the Prophet 5. People ask me what I use on Hip Hop Bebop: the 808 drum machine, the Prophet 1, the Prophet 5, an Oberheim step sequencer, and I think that's basically it. For it was recorded on an 8-track half-inch at my bedroom studio. This is a digital representation, not a digital represent. This is a digital remake of that Prophet synthesizer, and you guys are buffering, huh? Try refreshing. Let me see if I could change something. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I could change the streaming and output thing. It's pretty. It should be okay. I have it set for the low end of streaming, so if you don't have a fast internet connection, you should be able to see this. All right, try refreshing. Anyway, let's get back to this. So this is a Prophet synthesizer. And if you know synthesizers, it's a 2-oscillator synthesizer, a filter. I'm going to go play. Yeah, the UHE stuff is really, really great. I'm going to go ahead and play with this bass line, show you how we can change it sound-wise. Let's get back into Logic here. So I've tightened up the envelopes in here. So that's the sound I decided to sit with for this particular track. There's a lot of presets in here. You can go in and, where are the presets in this thing? I don't use, oh, here we go, presets. And you can go into factory presets, basses, lead sounds, keyboard sounds, so on and so on. And I use them as bass lines. I mean, as a bass line, not a bass line, as a bass to build my sound. So It's a great synthesizer. I really like it. Oh, I hope I didn't lose my bass sound there. Let's see. Oh no, we're still there. Okay. So UHE is a company, and they build this. They also have that's the Pro. It's a 5-voice Pro one. This is the 1-voice version of it. I don't know if they make this. This was a pre-thing, so I don't know if they still have that. So you get an idea there. Let me see if I can get back my plug-in with my sound here, Repro 5. Let's get our bass line back. There we go. All right, so we got Michael Jackson drums. We've got a new bass line in here. All right, if you remember, I think it was like the first or second session, we used something called Loop Cloud. Loop Cloud is a free program from Loop Masters, and you open it up as a plugin on a track, and I'll just get any plugin track going right now. It's a MIDI track, and you open it up, and you tell our plugins. These are all my plugins, by the way. I got quite a lot. You go to Loop Masters, Loop Cloud, you open this up. Another Loop Cloud plug is running. Okay. I have a version of Loop Cloud running. Where do I have it? Anyway, what it does, oh, right here. Right here, I got it right here. It just shows this little, hello, where is it? There it is. It's off the screen. Let me pull it over to your screen. It just brings up this little thing here. Now what Loop Cloud does, and I've showed you this before, but if you haven't seen it, I'll let you guys see it again. Loop Cloud is an app. I hope we can run it. I have a nice powerful computer. This should be able to run. Loop Cloud is all, well, they're putting more and more in. This is loops from Loop Masters, and you can go in and choose loops. Oh, I don't know, let's get a drum loop right here. And why are we not hearing it? Because I am soloed? Yeah, I don't have Loop Cloud soloed there. So you can go through their library. You don't have to buy all this stuff right away. By the way, this is synced. I'm going to take away the Michael Jackson drums. I'm going to change drum sounds. So Loop Cloud is a great way to go in. Let me stop this. Loop Cloud is a great way to come in here and choose sounds. I want to quit Loop Cloud. It's free. They have a store where you can go in, and they'll give you free. They give you like a couple of megabytes of free samples every week. So if you have it long enough, you'll just get all this stuff. But as you can see here, you can go into, you know, Jacking House and Tech 2. It takes a second to load it. You can load it up, and it'll give you lo-fi, you know, samples to listen to. I got it muted again, right? Of course I do. But if you notice, those drums are in sync. I'm going to choose another drum loop. So using Loop Cloud, you could build a lot of stuff. So I needed guitars. I'm not a guitar player because I wanted to get that chic, kind of funky, old school sound. So what I did is I went to Loop Cloud. So this is one of the loops. And if you notice, the loops have different colors. Coming up right over here, it's a slightly different color. I got another loop and put it in here. Where it changes color over here is where the loop changed. I'll play. And in actuality, this was in the wrong key. Loop Cloud is really great because it'll put it in a good key, in the right key. But I went in here and I used Logic's what they call flex pitch. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. And now my notes are now musical notes. So I'll change this loop for a second. And I'll show you what you could do with audio, which is really great. I'll just make this a 1-bar loop. Or if I wanted it to be, this is a sample, not a MIDI file. Pretty cool. So this is called Elastic Audio, and it comes free with Logic. Ableton Live has it. I'm not sure if you could do pitch with it. In fact, I like this. Anyway, so we've got our Michael Jackson drums, our new bass line. Let me let's get in here. So if you choose a sample out of Loop Cloud and it's not in your key, Loop Cloud has a feature where it'll put it into any key, but still there's going to be sharp and flat notes that are not going to work with your song, and you can go into Elastic Audio, and as you saw, you can take that individual note and move it up and down so the note is right. Now you're not going to be able to go like octaves, but 2 or 3 steps in either direction to hit a note that sounds good. You're going to be, you know, it's going to start to work. Not everything works. I'm going to go ahead and quit Loop Cloud. I don't want another crash. Let's go ahead and get out of Loop Cloud. But Loop Cloud is great because there's a lot of samples there. All right, let's move. This hi-hat here, I built. I needed 2 hi-hats. I needed a fast hi-hat and a slow hi-hat. I'm going to move this over here so I could do both. And I needed this hi-hat. And actually the hand claps too, come to think of it. Those were all built out of Machine 2. It's a plugin. So let me open Machine. Let's make another track here. How do you set the age so that it stays on top of the Logic page? The age, I'm not sure what you mean. All right, I'm not sure what you mean by age, but you'll let me know. In the meantime, let me move forward. Let's go into Machine. This is Machine 2. Machine is a piece of software I've showed you guys before that comes with a piece of hardware. This piece of hardware doesn't contain any sound. It's really a keyboard, and it triggers MIDI notes. And you can go in and you can do MIDI notes, and these are like MIDI faders. This literally has no sound in it. It's just a giant controller. So when you open up Machine, which is what we have open in the window over here, and sorry guys, I can't make these bigger because the what do you call it? The programmers, I don't know why they do this. They restrict me from making it bigger. But make a hi-hat or a clap, I go in, I choose the first page, and let's do a kick and a snare. So I go in here and I love this better than my 808 because it gives me better control, right? So here's a, let me just solo this. Let me bring all this other stuff down. All right, now we're only listening to machine, right? I don't like this particular drum sound. How do I make it better? I start searching through basics of drums that I want to use. Depending on what kind of track I'm doing. This is more of a real kick. Now I can pitch it up. I can pitch it down, change the decay. If I'm using a synthesized one, they call it tronic for electronic. So I'm going to put a snare in here on the next track, and I'm just showing you quickly how I build custom drum sounds. I particularly like this because it turns my, it's like an 808 with way more, way more control. Here's a classic 808 snare. But I have other choices of snares. So as you can see, we're suddenly building stuff that's not just an 808 kick drum. So I went in there, I'm gonna mute this so it doesn't confuse you guys. And I have my Michael Jackson kick and snare, which is here. And I put in hand claps. Now those hand claps are pretty wide, and I'm gonna show you what I did to get them wide. Normally they sound like that, right? Actually, they sound like that. These are the hand claps I built in Machine 2. So, they're two down the center. I wanted the hand claps to be here to give the impression that more than, you know, like a crowd of people or more than one person. So a little reverb opens that up. And this is called a harmonizer. There we go. This is an old school, it's basically a digital delay line and a very early pitch shifter put in. This is around the 80s, Eventide digital, Eventide dual harmonizer. And it takes, it's just like when I pitch things up and down in Elastic Audio. This was the electronic version, but it really didn't work that well. But it was great for all kinds of effects. So I put it on the track, and then let's turn it on. All of a sudden everything gets wide, and there's a little bit of a delay between both sides. You should be listening with headphones, right? But I could also do cool things like I remember in the David Bowie in Low on that album, they used a lot of the harmonizer on the snare drum. Anyway, so what I did is I took the down the center clap, but this was too wide, and I put it halfway so it has the center clap and claps there, getting 3 claps out of it. There we go. And I have my hi-hats in there, made with Machine.
Gotta get up, gotta get up.
And let's get into there's the rhythm going.
This is an emergency. This is an emergency.
So I tried to keep the arrangement very simple because I thought of Chic. You know, Chic had these really great tracks and they were kind of simple and funky, and I really, really liked it. And when you think about Chic, it's kind of like, you know, it's not a heavily produced stuff. It's kind of like a singer, some yowza background singer affected voice, guitar, and some grooving drums. And that's where I tried to leave this. So these green things down here and blue are different guitar parts that come in and out. And this is where arrangement becomes important. We could do a whole track on arrangement. But the track has to build up and has to come down in content. Otherwise, it's just one linear track and it's boring for the listener to listen to. So the guitar changes when his voice comes in. I'm going to see if I can just do the kick drum, and let's do the kick drum and the guitar and his vocals. And you'll see there's a difference between before
This is an emergency. I'm in the danger zone. Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
So part of our arrangements are you're building stuff up, breaking it down, building it up, breaking it down, trying to keep the listener, well, Classical Banksy, if you have loop cloud, which is what I have, you can go in and between the loops that are near, I listen for patterns, so I like the pattern that he's playing, but the notes are off. So I go, wait a minute, I can change those notes by using elastic audio. So you can't, these are Chic kind of guitar parts, which are really James Brown kind of guitar parts, right, William Pepys? Because he studied that. You can get that Chic sound if you want. And I also have things like hi-hats that change. So before the vocal comes in, there's a fast hi-hat, and then when the vocal starts, it's just a back hi-hat. Subtle things that are going to make your mind, oh, there's a change. Oh, something happened, but you're not sure what. There's a fast hi-hat. Now his vocal is coming in and I gotta break it down so you pay attention. I changed the guitar.
This is an emergency. I'm in the danger zone. Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
Different guitar. Back to the verse guitars.
On the ceiling. Bottles on the floor. Sweating down your body. Fire in the home.
You need to make space for vocals, because if you don't make space for vocals, you're going to lose your listener, right? But we got a chorus coming up, and if there's a good vocal there, you don't need music. Your vocal will carry it as a producer, right? So if you're writing music, if you're using a vocal sample, your vocal sample can carry it, right? Some of the greatest songs are minimal songs. You know, if you go back and listen to the arrangement, we're going to come into a verse, and all of a sudden, the faster hi-hat comes and a slightly different guitar part, and then the background vocals come in. I don't have to do a lot of work, but listen for that. We've got that pea soup hi-hat, and then it's going to suddenly flip over, and then there's going to be a faster hi-hat. Very subtle thing that's going to lift that chorus up and say, oh, there's a change.
Sweating down your body. Fire in the home.
Oh, and the claps come in too.
Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up.
New guitar part.
Oh, can you feel it, baby? It's inevitable. Yeah, it's about to go down.
And we're going down.
down.
We went down. See, I'm keeping this minimal. This is such a drum and a bass line right now. Now that hi-hat's going to come back in. It's a breakdown. There's no vocals, but the moment the vocals stop,
Counting all the money. I don't wanna be alone.
I want to show you something I did with the guitar sample in here, which is stuff that you guys could do too. Let me see if I could zoom just this area in. So the guitar sample went for a long time, but watch the yellow. What I basically did is I took the guitar sample in here, that's the guitar, and I made it shorter. So I left space. So the guitar will play and then stop playing.
Counting all the money. I don't wanna be alone. Feeling kinda funny.
By doing this, I'm creating guitar parts that weren't there. Normally this would be guitar, but I muted it. And the reason I have echo on there is for two reasons. It gives that disco-y kind of sound, but it also hides the fact that the sample stopped. So that's a little trick you can do when you're clipping samples if your mix supports it. I'll play it without. See how awful that sounds? That's okay. Right? So it kind of just stops there. So here we go with a little, it softens the effect in there. All right, let's get back out. So I'm just trying to give you guys some ideas of how to take a mix and how to improve it, how to add things, how to change, how to get around the fact that you don't have a guitar player. These are little studio tricks that you'll learn, right? You can add delays, you can add all sorts of things to get this going. Looks like Classical Banksy and Steve Bronski have a love affair going on here in our chat room, which is great. Anyway, what else do I have in here? That's pretty much it. I have a couple of guitar parts. I have claps, hi-hat, Michael Jackson. Oh, in the very, very beginning, he had a synth part that he used only in one place, and I thought, well, let's do something with this. I want to take all the effects off of this, and I'll show you what he had. And then I thought, wow, there's something there. Let's play with it and see what we get. This is his part. It's okay, you guys can chat, I don't care. Okay, so what I did is I changed the EQ of this, right? I put it through a flanger. Flanges are part of any, most of these digital audio workstations, and it's a little bit of physics going on. When you have a Doppler effect, when a car passes, zoom, you get the and the This thing takes two of those. It's actually slightly bending the pitch of the sound, and it plays games with it, and you get that jet effect. Now, in this particular case, I turned the feedback all the way up. I'll do it without feedback. Now I'm going to turn the feedback up. Good old Giorgio Moroder trick, right? But in this case, I wanted it to be effect, so I turned it way up. Right, and then I put some delay on it. Here, when it stops, it still flies around. I particularly like this as UVI relayer, but all programs have a digital delay, and then I throw some reverb on it. So this is an old disco track that I'm trying to do. Hey, I'm trying to make it sound like an old Studio 54 track. Yes, effects can get out of control. You better know what you're doing. I have nothing on his vocal yet. Right away he needs reverb. We're gonna throw some reverb on his voice. Go.
Puddles on the floor, sweating down your body, fire in the hole. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up.
I don't use a lot of automation because automation gets confusing for me. It may work for you, but for me, I'm mixing something and I can't figure out what the hell just happened, right? Let me pull up the mixer.
Counting all the money, I don't wanna be alone. Feeling kinda funny when I'm ready to explode.
I don't use a lot of automation because what happens in automation is, you know, I'm looking over to the left side and all of a sudden the fader's going up and down and I'm like, what track did I put that on? Because I have 7 tracks of background vocals, it'll drive me crazy. So what I can actually do is, if I need automation, I will sometimes take the track. Let me give you an example. What can we use that's pretty clear in here? Let's try this beginning guitar track. I'll try to zoom in over here. So if I need the guitar loud in one part and quiet in another, what I'll do is I'll make a second track and I'll copy this down to the second track, right? And let me see if I could do a volume difference and show you guys a way of not doing automation so you don't have to worry about it, right? So these are identical tracks. I'm just going to have this come back in again. So basically, the top one is the guitar where I want it. The next one down is a lower version or a louder version, coming back up to the same guitar. So all I got to do is bring the volume of, let me do it in the mixer, bring the volume of the second guitar track. Is that where I am? Yes. The first guitar track is this one here, and the second one is here. So without creating automation, it's going to get lower here. So if you noticed, I'll just play going into it and coming out of it. There's just, these are ways of getting volume changes. Remember, this is the same piece of audio on another track, doesn't bang out your computer processor, because it doesn't make a difference if it's playing on track 1 or track 2, it's playing the same file, right? So you can have hundreds of these things going on without banging out your processor if you don't have a strong computer. So I mean, you can even go crazy with this stuff, because I've often done this on vocals, is you can go in and, let me make this smaller. You can actually, you know, just get pieces of it. And not only that, is you can go in and do panning. I'm going to make a third track, and I'm going to show you something. Let's do it this way. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. I want to show you guys, without automation, I'm going to pan the guitar left and then pan it right. And if you're ahead of me, you know what I'm doing. So let's get these street tracks in a zoom so you guys can see it, right? Oops, no, undo, there we go. And then take this and put it there. And then I'm going to take the second track and pan it left, the third track down, pan it right. And you're going to get the, so now without using automation, let me bring those volumes back up to where the other one is. Our guitar is suddenly going to play little games in it. Let me make those louder so they're more prominent and you can hear what's going on. So that's a way of doing things without doing automation. I don't like automation because it gets me crazy sometimes and I can't figure out, you know, what the fuck I did, right? But here I'm creating automation just by doing a track. You could do it with voices if you want, you know, let's get down, 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 like an echo. You go in and you, I better not save this because I'll screw myself. I want to show you how to do it on a voice. So here's his lead voice. I gotta cut this. Please don't save. I automatically save things, you know what I mean? All right, so I'm gonna make a little bit of automation. This is his vocal. And we're gonna take the last word out of his vocal. I'm gonna make another track. And this is just gonna take the word down. And we're gonna put a lot of reverb on this and a lot of delay. So I moved his voice to a new track. And I just want the last word.
Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
I'm going to take the word home, which is about right there, which means I got to make up for the fact that I stole his vocal here. So I'm going to take the word home, I'm going to bury it in reverb and delay. So let's plug in, let's put my Valhalla, which I love. So the word home is suddenly going to go giant. And let's put that in a long, and then let's add a delay to it. And I'm going to set the delay to be a quarter note and a lot of repeats. Okay, now the word home on this lower track, let's get some color in here and make it another color. That purple is the word home. Right? But I put a reverb and a delay. I don't know what it's going to sound like yet because I haven't auditioned it, but you get the idea. Check this out. Hey, Corey!
I ain't never coming home.
Wasn't loud enough. Hey, Corey. The guy who's here, CORY TUT, this is his mix. He's hearing it.
Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
So that's how to get a, Corey, you haven't heard the whole mix yet. The guy who sang the song, CORY TUT, he's here and he's listening. Great, you woke up, good. So that's how to take a single word without using automation and throwing it into, you know, an effect. So you don't have to do the whole automation thing and then try to figure out what happened. So let me zoom this back out. and that little bit of purple on the second line there.
Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
Obviously, that's too loud.
Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home.
Hey, Corey, since you, I'm probably not going to use that, but it's there. Well, maybe I will use it. It's kind of neat. So that's a great way to do automation without without doing automation. All right. So let me play this from the beginning so Corey could take a listen. I've destroyed your track, Corey. I told Corey I was going to make this more into a chic funk kind of track. Corey, put your headphones on, Corey. Remember, that was hey Corey, there's some note mistakes in here. I was showing people how to do elastic audio, so when the things pan back and forth or those weird notes in there, that won't be, that's just demonstration stuff I showed people. And the vocals aren't mixed either.
This is an emergency. I'm in the danger zone. Feels like an eternity. I ain't never coming home. Mirrors on the ceiling. Puddles on the floor. Sweating down your body. Fire in the home. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Can you feel it, baby? It's inevitable. Yeah, it's about to go down. We're going down.
Yeah, I wanted to do a fun, chic kind of mix, you know.
The money
Very basic, you know. It doesn't need a lot because you're a good singer.
be alone. Feeling kinda funny. When I'm ready to explode. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Can you feel it, baby? It's inevitable. Yeah, it's about to go down. We're going down. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get your body. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Can you feel it, baby?
Well, anyway, Corey, I've destroyed your song. But I got a few things I still have to put in here. This is not mixed and all that kind of stuff, but the basic feel is that it needs some sprinkles. You know when you get ice cream and they put the sprinkles on top and the cherry, it makes it better. It needs a couple of sound effects and things like that. So that's how to take a track and do a mix on it. Now we're going into an hour, and I'm sure some people, we've lost a couple of people when it got a little too technical, but I'm glad you guys are here. And let me see, chat room. So these all subtle refinements add up to creation of the headroom. Oh, okay. So you want to know about how to get headroom. Give me 1 second, and I'll show you. So say you're doing a mix, and this has happened to all of us, including me. You're in Logic, right? And let me turn this master off and the MIDI off. You're in Logic, and your master output is just red as hell. Now, let me turn the volume down, because I'm going to show you what this looks like. I'm going to turn down the volume for Logic. I'm going to make this at 0, the master, and I'm going to take my mastering thing off. In fact, let me just do it this way. I'm going to get a loop where everything is playing. I'm going to show you how to get some headroom out of this. So there's a lot of stuff going on right around here. All right, so let's just flip. So if you look at the master meter, and I'm sorry I can't make this bigger for you guys. So say this is your master is now. You see how that's in the red over there, right? The very last track, it says, you won't be able to see it, but it's in the red. How do you get this down without destroying your mix? What you do is you select all of your tracks, and you can do this in Ableton or any software. I'm not taking the last track, which is the reverb return, or the master, and watch, I'll grab any fader and it brings everything down in ratio, right? So I'll play my track. Well, first of all, let me set this to 0, the master, and as I'm playing, I'm going to bring the volume down so it doesn't peak in the red. So now I've taken my whole mix when it was peaking in the red, because, you know, I'm guilty, well, I'm guilty or whatever of it too. I'm writing music and I'm getting into it and I want that drum up a little higher and the bass up a little higher. And basically what happens is I look over and I go, oh my God, it's like solid red, right? Then what I do is once we get that there, I use Slate Digital. Some people use Isotope. This is their mastering suite for Slate. A lot of companies have different mastering things. All the same shit sideways, right? Some are a little better, some a little worse, but they're basically the same stuff. Then I go in and now what this is going to do is this is going to get it louder without pushing it into the red. It uses compression and expansion and things behind the scenes that you actually sounds louder, but your VU meters are not going to go into the red. So this is that icing on the cake. I've increased the loudness, but the very last fader in my mixer over here is not going into the red. It's still at -1. So listen to the audio difference between this, and this is what mastering does. And that, right? This is with it off. This is with it on. So what that's doing is that's adding volume at the end to make your mix sound even bigger and better and more fabulous. All right, guys. So let's listen to Corey's track again. This is the one that he has on his record. What do you want to know on the Slate Digital, the dynamic, where are we? The dynamic perception. Okay, so the dynamic perception is an expander. It finds peaks and makes them louder. I would leave it until you know what you're doing. It's the if you had a synthesizer and you have an envelope, and that when you want to add more into an envelope, you know, the amount. This is the amount of dynamics that you put in there, but you could easily screw things up. I would leave it to the right of the gain. Yeah, I got it. So I would basically leave it, but it's it takes your music and makes the softer and the highs higher by subtle amounts until, you know, instead of everything being flat, it adds space between the high and the lows. But that's not great for pop music. It's good for certain kinds of music if you're doing guitars and all that kind of stuff. Classical music, you got a recording that's too flat, it'll put a little space into it where it can, but I wouldn't mess with it. And the great thing with anything is I have the output on this set at -1. So that means it can never go to 0, it can only go to 1 dB below 0 no matter how hard I slam this, and it can't screw it up. So that's the first thing I do in here. And the second is when a track's running, you don't want to see, you want to see yellow, but you don't want to see red.
I can feel it, baby. It's inevitable. Yeah, it's about to go down. We're going down.
So there you can see you're watching your output on these VU meters. And sometimes I even put in something past this because stuff will slip past the meters. Waves has a great thing. Let me see if I can find it. It's called the this is real heavy technical stuff, but it's great. The Duro. These are high resolution meters. Come on, Duro, come on up. Corey did the vocals and the record, the arrangement, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to make this nice and big, XL, so we can watch this. So this meter is a real heavy-duty mastering meter, and this will show me whether anything is peaking that the mastering isn't taking. This goes last.
I can feel it, baby. It's inevitable.
So nothing, this last bar isn't turning red. There's phase meter over here in red. There's overs. This is showing me that this is real perfect. It's right up at the top. The mastering thing is stopping any peaks from happening, and it sounds loud and punchy and full. All right, guys, I think we've been an hour, and enough torturing you and everybody else. I just wanted to say thank you for Corey. So much for being the guinea pig here in the song, with his song. And thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for watching. And Sundays I'm going to try to do this. If you guys have, thank you. If you guys have ideas, let me know. If you want to ask me about compressors, mastering, reverbs, how to get your mixes sounding better, all that kind of stuff. If you've got a track and you want me to destroy it for you, I can put it up here and mix it or remix it. Tomorrow I'm interviewing David Bowie's road manager from the Ziggy Stardust era, Tony Zanetta. And I want to ask him about how they handled the costumes. They were in Japan, so they had to get stuff through customs. So it's not just about recording. We have a Steve Bronski interview. I don't know if he's still with us. That was the first thing, Steve Bronski talking about Jimmy Somerville and Hometown Boy, Small Town Boy, all that kind of stuff. So thanks, guys, and yeah, this is fun. You know, it's kind of it is our third or fourth broadcast, so it's kind of shaping up and getting its thing. You guys can check out. Oh, wait, no, this is supposed to be my theme song. This is the theme song that I did for this. I thank you guys. Thank you so much. Where's the end screen? There we go.